And we are live. Hello, folks. Welcome to Jason Hebert Live. And we have a special episode for you tonight. I usually start by saying we have another missing persons interview for you tonight. That's not what tonight is. If you are familiar with the show, what we typically do here is we interview the loved ones of either missing persons and or unsolved crimes in an effort to help spread awareness, get their stories out there, and help bring resolutions to some people and some families that desperately need it, who are going through horrifying situations at the time. Now, what this show is this is the first episode in a whole brand new genre opening up here on the channel, which isn't missing persons or unsolved crimes. What it is survivors of crime. So this would be called our Survivor Series, is what I'm basically calling it temporarily. And this is a whole different new segment. And we're doing this because I was talking with Vickie, who is our guest today, and we were saying, you know how many people are probably going through something similar, males or females, and maybe they need to hear that somebody has been through something like this for a little hope, to realize that you're not the only person that's been through this. Maybe you can fight through this and get through it because maybe somebody else has already done that. And I think this is going to be really inspirational to people who maybe are struggling right now and feeling like they're not in a winnable situation, because you are. And tonight's guest will show you that no matter how down you may seem, or no matter how horrific of a situation you may be in, there always is hope. So as you can see, our show is interactive. And I want to give special credit to Dawn, because she's actually the one that said, hey, Vickie, you should come on the show and interview. Right, Dawn? So all credit goes to Dawn Brake. It was 100% her idea to do this. I actually had the idea to do a Survivor series already, and I actually almost had a guest a while ago for something like this, but she couldn't get her mic and camera working, actually. So we kind of just left it there. And then when Vickie was talking about it in chat one day, I was kind of, in my morning shows, I'm doing like 8 things at once. I didn't even think of it. Then Dawn came and said, hey, why don't you come on the show, Vickie? And I said, oh my God, what an amazing idea. Thank God Vickie said, yeah, I'd love to do it. We spoke a little bit further. And thank you to Dawn Brake. She's opened up a whole new segment of interviews in the channel. And which is awesome, because as many of you may know, the interviews have really, there was a time when I think for a good 2-3 months straight, I had interviews pretty much every night. It really slowed down a bit. Sometimes it's hard to find the families or to get them. Some people don't want to come on camera. So it's a lot more difficult than it seems to do something like this. So opening up what we're doing and having new ideas like this is going to really make it so we can do more interviews. It'll always be true crime related. That's what we do here on this channel. This is a true crime channel. But I'm really excited to do this. So I don't want to go for too long with the intro, but I'm waiting for more people to come in. It looks like we're getting close to about 50 people. It usually takes a little bit for somewhere in the 50 or 100 range. Takes a few minutes for those notifications to go out. So I like to have a good amount of people on before we bring on the guest, just to make sure that too many people don't miss too much of the segments. And so as you can see, the show is interactive. You get to ask questions to the guests. So maybe it's a story you've heard about for years and you've always had a question that never got answered. Or maybe it's something that you just found out about today and questions are rushing to your mind. But either way, you get to ask the questions in the chat. In our show, you get the answers directly from the horse's mouth. It's not somebody telling their version of the story. I interview the actual people that the story is about. So it's a little bit different than what a lot of channels are doing. So if you're into trying to help these families and help them through incredibly troubling times, click subscribe below. Make sure you set that notification bell to all. And that's basically it. You will be notified every time we go and interview a new person, and we get set to do a new interview. So today we have another special first, which is a sponsor of the show. So I'm going to start doing these. If you would like to be a sponsor yourself, you can email me. My link is in the description below. It is jasonhebert100@gmail.com. So if you'd like to find out all the information and specifics about how to do that, that is where you can email me. But let's go into today's sponsor who brings you this show. Give me just a moment here. So tonight's show is brought to you by the Rowdy Crafter Boutique. Amanda Jo of the Rowdy Crafter is the Jane of all trades, creating the finest original works in arts, crafts, balloon arrangements, such as crochets, dream catchers, paper flowers, wreaths, and much, much more. To check out the Rowdy Crafters inventory or order from Amanda Joe's wonderful selection of products, check out their Facebook page at facebook.com/therowdycrafter, which is linked in the video description below. And Amanda is super creative. So if you have an idea that you don't see on there that you yourself thought of, I can't speak for her, but she's pretty good at being able to create things out of nothing. So if she might have an idea for you that, let's say you say, I want this and that and that and this kind of craft, she'll put it all together. So let's go over a little bit of her work as we wait for a couple more people to come on. And this is Rowdy Crafter Boutique, guys. Amanda Joe's site. Here's some of the things she crochets. And she is the one who is sponsoring tonight's show. All right, so we get some hats. Adults, $25. Kids, 3 to 10 years, $20. Newborn to 2 years, $15. So you see here some really cute hats. I'll go over it real quick. All right, business card there. All right, so she does a little bit of everything, guys. She does balloon arrangements. She's actually friends with Tammy Joe. Tammy Spang, who was our very, very first interview that we did. So she's been friends of the channel ever since. She's even co-hosted way back in the day. She co-hosted one. So here's just an idea of some of the things Amanda puts together. She's amazing. She's creative. She does a little bit of everything. So again, it's facebook.com/therowdycrafter, all one word. And the link's in the description below. Just hit show more or show all, whatever it is that expands that. And you will see all the relevant links, as well as how to contact tonight's guest, myself, support the channel, all that kind of stuff. It's all under there. So here's a little bit of Amanda's stuff, and check her out. I promise you, if you're looking for someone creative, craft kind of stuff, you will not be disappointed with the Rowdy Crafter Boutique. Yes, CSI, she's amazing. So even if you're not looking specifically to buy something or whatever, a craft, just maybe check out the site and just see exactly what it is she does there. Really, really cute stuff. All right, guys. So I am going to bring on Vickie Joe, and I'll let her just kind of tell the whole story. A lot of times I do intros and give you guys a lot of the basics of the story. I don't quite know how we're going to do this. I might put together a little intro, but for today's show, since it's the very first one we're doing, we're kind of winging it a little bit. So let's bring on Vickie, and she'll just take us from the beginning. We'll show a few pictures, and let's kind of go over Vickie's life story. So Vickie, thank you so much for joining us. A lot of you guys might know Vickie as Navy vet, right? You're often in the chat, especially on the morning shows. She's here all the time. So you guys are probably friends with her already from the chat. Thank you so much for joining us, Vickie.
Thank you.
So how do you want to take it? Do you want to maybe start with the good times, of course, because every relationship starts out positive. Do you want to just to be fair to him, tell us how it all came together, or how do you want to put it together?
Well, yeah, I can be a little fair.
And I'm going to show you kind of like this too. I'm going to zoom in on you.
Yeah, we met when we were teenagers. We used to go skating at the skating rink, and he would always skate slow with me, and then they would have sock hops out in town. And
what's his name, just so
his name is Jim or James, and they would have sock hops in town, and we'd go to the sock hop. And I don't know if anybody's as old as we are, but we would go to the sock hop, and of course, he was the love of my life, and we got married, and of course I got pregnant, and he went to Vietnam, and our son was born while he was in Vietnam.
And this is your son right here, right?
That's our son. His name is James. Okay. He's James Jr.
JJ.
And he wasn't mean before he went to Vietnam. But when he came, and of course I didn't realize it at the time, but since I've been in the military now, I realized that he had PTSD when he came back.
Okay.
But of course I didn't realize that. And when he came back, he started having problems and everything. Of course, I got pregnant the second time, and this part's hard. He,
If you need a moment, go slow. If you need to step off camera, that's fine. Don't rush.
no,
You're in
I'm
control,
fine.
okay?
He got drunk one night and pushed. We lived in a second-story apartment, and we had an outside stairs. And he decided he wanted to beat me, and he threw me down the outside stairs, and he killed our daughter.
Because you were pregnant at the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I'm so sorry.
shortly after that, I divorced him. And when our divorce became final, he ended up in a mental institution because he didn't want to accept the fact that I divorced him. But I moved back home to Kentucky with my father, and he kept getting in trouble, and he went to prison. And I don't know why, but my father sponsored him to move out of Ohio and move to Kentucky. And he did. And this was in 1974. And he beat me again. And this time he beat me pretty bad. And I thought my father was for sure going to kill him. And this was on a Thursday night. And on Monday morning, I went and enlisted into the Navy.
So you were just like, oh my God, you had to get out of there right away.
I had to get out of there. And I knew I had to get out because if I didn't, I was so afraid that he was going to kill me. And so I went and enlisted, and he kept coming by my father's house and leaving notes and leaving flowers and all this and calling and, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll never do it again. Please come back. Please come back. And he found out that I had enlisted, and he said, what did you do it for? And I said, what did I do what for? He said, why did you join the service? And I said, well, I don't have anything left here. He said, well, you got me. And I said, like I said, I don't have anything left here.
You've got me. You just killed our daughter and beat me. And I have you, really?
Yeah. You know, and so I went into the service, and I went to boot on Friday night that week. On Friday, I was in boot camp in Orlando, Florida.
Wow.
And after basic training, I came home, and of course he was in jail, and he was waiting to get sentenced to prison for something he had done. I don't even know what he had done, but he was waiting to get sentenced to Eddyville Correctional Prison in Eddyville, Kentucky. And he sent a message through this police officer that lived next door to my father and said, oh, you'll never make it through the Navy. You'll never make it. I said, watch me.
And that's probably just what you needed for that motivation, right? Oh, I won't, huh?
Oh, yeah. Well, see, he got a general discharge from the Army. Well, I made it through mine. I have an honorable discharge. Yeah. And so I didn't hear anything from him. And then my son wanted to find out where his father was. And so I called around trying to find out where he was. And I found out that he was in a prison in Southern Ohio for the criminally insane. That's when I found out that he had committed a double homicide. And the thing about it is that the woman that he killed was a friend of mine when we lived in the same town where he and I married, where my son was born, and where he had killed my daughter. She and I were friends. Her brother was a police officer. He went into their home to rob them. Found out that they were home. He killed her with an extension cord around her, strangled her, raped her, and then
raped her.
Her husband, yes. and then killed her husband. They arrested him. He was up at his mother's trailer up at Upper Sandusky, and when they finally arrested him, and the thing is he knew. I mean, she knew him. Everybody in town knew him, and but they didn't know what he had become. You know, they just didn't know what he had become.
Right. So how many? So he killed. He raped and killed the girl, and then also killed 2 police officers.
No, he killed the girl. Was the police officer's sister.
Let's see.
And he got. When I read his charge, I sent you the charges of what he had. But he got consecutive. He got consecutive, which was back-to-back charges or sentences, and he won't come up for parole until April of 2023, and I doubt very seriously if he'll get out.
Wow, I gotta be honest, I'm shocked it's that soon for him to even have a chance. 2023, I mean, I know this is a while ago, but still, I wouldn't expect him to ever be eligible for it.
He'll never. He got with the maximum that he got. I thought it was 220 to life, so he got 40 to life, and that was the maximum that he got, was 40 to life, and running consecutively, and he's not eligible for parole until April of 2023. But when you kill a police officer's sister, do you really think he's going to come up for parole? I mean, that he's going to make parole?
And never.
No.
So what's the whole story? So so he starts with this poor girl, killing her. So allegedly he broke in for what reason? Was it just to rob? How did it all unfold?
He broke in to rob, and then he tried to say he didn't do it. And there were two hung juries.
Wow.
And he went back for the third one because he said, well, my car got broken into, and they stole my flashlight, and they stole my pack of cigarettes, and they stole my knife that he used to stab her husband with.
Wow. Okay.
And his fingerprints were found in the house.
So, I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, I'm so sorry.
So if your fingerprints are found in the house, how did they steal your fingerprints too?
Right.
And then the thing I told him, I found out too that he had taken their little Pomeranian and put it in the dryer and locked the dog in the dryer.
Oh, did he turn it on?
No, he didn't turn it on. But when they finally found the little dog, they didn't realize that it was in the dryer. But when they finally found it, the little dog was a mess, and it was dehydrated and starving to death.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, well, you should have got the death penalty just for that.
Yeah, for the dog, right?
As
an animal lover, I think we all feel that way, right? It's like, harmless for an animal. Can I real quick, John Break? I apologize for interrupting, but she says, how did he know his victim? I just want to make sure we get some.
We were all from the same town. Okay. It was a very small town. It was from Fostoria. We lived in Fostoria, Ohio.
And what's his full name, your ex-husband?
James Dewey Cooper Sr.
Okay. Just if anyone wants to, look up the story, see what they can find. You sent me some information as well, but I didn't put all this jail stuff and everything out there. If people want to look it up, I guess they can find him. I don't know that is super relevant. I want to focus on you. Right. This is your story. He's the villain, so we don't want to give him too much shine. And Annie asks, did you say he went to a mental institution? Was that where he went
after our divorce? He went to a mental institution right after our divorce, and then right after the murders, and he was sentenced to prison. He went into a prison for the criminally insane.
Okay. So he's been to both a mental institution and a prison.
Right.
And this next question might be a little tough. We talked beforehand that if there's anything you don't want to answer, you're in control. You don't have to, but I will give everyone a chance to at least ask you
Okay.
because it's your decision to make. But Kaleidoscope asks, how is your son with all of this?
My son has a lot of his father's traits.
Okay. In what way?
My son is a narcissist.
Okay. He's had some troubles in his life because of some of the things he inherited, I'm guessing, is where he.
Right.
Okay.
And when he was younger, he actually pulled a gun on his cousin and put it to his cousin's head.
Ooh.
And he thought it was funny.
Okay, so he thought he was joking. Okay.
He thought he was joking, and I didn't think that was joking at all.
Loaded?
Yes, it was a loaded gun.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, as Don says, no judgment here. We're just we're telling the story. Okay. Has he been able to overcome some of these things?
In my opinion, I haven't seen my son in probably 10 years.
Oh wow.
And that's why I got away from my son too, because I saw no change in him and no how do I put it? He had no empathy.
Okay.
There was no empathy in him, and I saw too many traits of his father. And no matter what I said, I was always the wrong person. I was always wrong in my judgment as far as he was concerned. It didn't matter what I said.
Was he
I was wrong.
So I know a lot of kids, they side with one parent. Sometimes they side with the wrong parent. Right. They blame the good one for what the bad one did.
Even though his father was in prison for double homicide, he looked up to his father. And I couldn't understand that.
Yeah. That is sad.
And I never hid anything from him.
And is that's still how it is, or is he finally coming to understand it a little better? How old is he now?
He will be he just turned 50.
Wow, okay, so not a kid anymore.
No, he's not a child anymore. The last time I spoke to my ex-husband was I think my son was 18. And he tried to get me to come back to him, and I told him that the only thing that I had for him anymore was our son together, and that there had been a thin line between love and hate, and he pushed it over the line.
Yeah, absolutely. He went a good amount over that line too. I mean, there's only so far you can push somebody.
You can look in his eyes and tell he's evil.
Yeah, I mean, he has a bit of that look. I was thinking that. I wasn't going to say that, but I was thinking that.
No, you can look in his eyes and tell he's evil.
Yeah. A little zoom in there. We have quite a few questions building up, so I'm going to try to get to as many of them as possible. We won't really get to all, but let's see if we can kind of maybe some of the answers may be brief. But Don Break asks, is it possible he has some Asperger's? Have you looked into that?
My son or my ex-husband?
I'm not sure. We'll give her a moment to respond. Maybe you can kind of group them together. Is it possible either of them do you think?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
No, I never thought that my ex-husband had any. I never thought that he was capable of murder.
Okay.
He, at the time that I married him, I never dreamed that he would ever do that. Now, my son one time threatened to stand up and hit me. And I stood up to him and I said, do it, because I would never let any man put his hands on me, and I won't let you.
That's a real shame. Most men, even if they're the worst people, usually mom is mom, and you won't, even if you have the worst mom in the world, you usually protect her. So when they go to that level, something's off,
Well, I was always my father told him one time. He said, "Your mother took 9 months to bring you in this world. It won't take but a second to take you out of it."
Well, yeah, he should know that.
My son he doesn't beat women, but he doesn't respect them either.
Okay. Is he verbally abusive or to women?
He's verbally abusive to women.
And again, just to be clear, I have to say this: anything that we talk about here, unless it's something that has already been in the courts found guilty, anything that we talk about, any people, there's no accusations, no hard accusations here.
Right.
It's all just alleged. So any names that are brought up, if somebody hears their name here and they're not happy with what they hear, it's just families piecing things together and talking about what they know. There are no accusations here. I have to be sure for your protection in mind to say that.
Well, I'm going to tell you what. I have been in therapy for several years because I went through a lot of trauma even in my childhood. So,
are you answering the question on screen as you say this?
Right.
Okay.
So, and then when I was in the military, one of my service members tried to kill me. So I went through a lot. I've been through therapy for many, many years. So it took me, and I will have to go through therapy for the rest of my life.
So you recommend, because I'm assuming this, like we said earlier, there's got to be at least one, maybe 100, maybe 1,000 people that are going to watch this that are going through something similar. Is that what you'd recommend? Is some kind of therapy?
But if you ever come across somebody, if you're in a relationship with anybody that you see these signs, or if somebody is telling you it's a honeymoon period where they're abusive 1 minute and then afterwards, oh, I'm sorry, I promise I won't do it again. I promise I'll never do it again. And then they turn around and they do it again, and then there's another honeymoon period. Get out, because it will escalate.
Excellent advice.
It will continue to escalate. And if I hadn't gotten away from my ex-husband when I did, even after killing my daughter, I could have been the victim that my friend Janet was.
Yeah. Janet, the one he raped.
The one that he murdered, yes.
Guess what really confused me about that story is, not that I understand it, but logically, it follows that you break into a house. Oh my God, now they see me. I have to kill them. Obviously, I can't fully understand that way of thinking, but logically you do, right? A criminal. I guess what I'm wondering is, where does the rape come in? That seems so left field.
The best that I can understand it is that I think maybe she came down first, and to shut her up, he got an extension cord and tried to strangle her, and that's when he raped her, and her husband came down and saw what was happening, and then that's when my ex-husband stabbed him to death.
Okay. So Annie Ferguson says rape equals control. You think it was him trying to shut her up, control her?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So extra from what would be necessary in that case.
Yes.
Okay. Give me one moment. A couple of people talking in the chat about different things and trying to make sure we kind of fall away a little bit. Is someone else playing me on another device closed? I thought I heard myself come on real quick.
Because I read his trial transcripts. At one time I had them all, and I believe my son took them. but I read the whole trial transcripts, and the best I can relate is that they said that they thought that she may have come down first.
Okay, she came down. He holds her, rapes her, chokes her,
Right.
tries to kill her, and then her husband, who's the police officer, also comes down and he kills her.
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna have to change that thumbnail because I thought you had said 2 police officers.
No, she was the sister of a police officer.
Okay, sorry about that.
And then I think her husband was a police officer.
Okay. So
you're right, Annie. They buy you an expensive gift.
Yeah, that's what I was going to point to. A couple of people are kind of adding on to your advice about how that situation goes, which is one of the main things I want to bring out of this for people going through something similar, to know the signs, what to look for, and to get the heck out. That's another thing, as you said, the whole cycle of the honeymoon period, followed by the awful things that happen after. Annie throws in they could buy an expensive gift to try to make up for what they did. Kathy says another thing, the more you let them get by with, the worse it will get next time that they
exactly
bad, right?
That's
so these
exactly
are things
right.
People need to look for, right? That if they're wondering, hey, am I in a relationship like this or it's escalating? You just may be, right?
Run.
And Don Brake says, if an abuser tells you he hates you, you better believe him.
And if they're ever drunk and they tell you something like that, you better believe it. Because when they're drunk, they will tell you the truth. No, my son was never diagnosed, but I've been in therapy for long enough, and I've talked about him, that my therapist said that they believed he was a narcissist.
Okay. And I think a lot of that is Kubi says something very smart. A drunk man's words are a sober man's thoughts.
That's exactly right.
And I think that goes for, instead of the word man, we can just put person in there, right?
That's exactly.
Because I want to make sure that there might be a man dealing with a woman like this, or maybe a woman dealing with a woman like this, or a man dealing with a man like this. I mean, whatever, right?
Any person dealing with a person like that.
So it's very important to know the signs. And I don't know the signs nearly as well as you. So that's why I said we have to bring her on, because there's going to be someone that watches this that you help something click and they get away.
And if I can just help one person to save their life where I couldn't help my friend. And the shame of it is, she knew him. I babysat her brother's children. I was always around her. And she knew him.
Right. What a shame. And this is how it turns out. And you never did anything wrong. You never planned for anything like this. And life can just be so sporadic and random. And one bad guy, and he just causes chaos and rips apart everything good.
Oh, I have peace now, Kelly, because I live alone.
That's how I am. I withdrew from the world, and it's just me and me.
My little dog. That's my my life now. I have my little dog.
What's your dog's name again? Did you send me a picture before?
Mishu, no, I didn't send a picture of my little dog.
You're just like me, living by yourself with one friend right here. Boom.
Yeah, well, come here, Mishu. Come here. Come here. Let me show you what you look like. Here, come here.
Mishu?
Mishu.
Oh, hang on, keep her up there.
He's almost 8. He's almost 17 years old.
Hang on, we're gonna make new friends. Ready? Boom. Mishu and Tommy,
Look. Can you see? He says, I don't want to see. I want to lay down.
He's like, Mishu, what's up, dog? What are you doing, dog?
This one weighs 3 pounds.
This one's about 33. So he could be the bodyguard for Mishu.
Yeah.
But okay. Sorry, I know it's a little silly for an interview, but I just thought that little comic relief to break up all that, right? But Yeah, so CSI says, Vickie, I'm so sorry you went through this. You're an amazing woman and so strong. And I want to echo those thoughts. As soon as I talked to you, I knew, I said, this is going to be, you have Toby 17 watching. This is going to be a story that people need to hear, because I feel like, one, you've probably thought about this every day of your life, but you maybe didn't have a lot of opportunities to say it in a public forum like this. So it's good
No,
to
I
get
haven't.
out there and vent a little. If nothing else, it helps you vent. And like you said, it could help others as well. So,
Right.
um,
Well, and it's better this way because I'll tell you what, in the beginning, I used to have nightmares about torturing this man to the point of death and then let him come back and then torture him again over and over and over and over and over again
mm.
because of the harm that he did to me.
And is it what do you call it? What, speaking to the psychiatrist
PTSD.
helped you get over that?
I think that me going through therapy has helped me get over it and speaking about it and not holding it in, you know, just like Saint Lady 2 said, do I think it was his service in Vietnam or was he just a ticking time bomb? I think it was his service, him being in Vietnam and seeing the things that he saw, because I also have PTSD because I served at the end of Vietnam and I shipped bodies back to the state. And it's not, that's a hard time. So, and I didn't even know that I had PTSD for several years, but
I often wonder if everyone who goes through something like that gets some form of it, or can some people really just go through that and be perfectly fine and just move on and never think
no,
about it?
because I have uncles that were in Vietnam too, and they had severe PTSD.
They do too. So pretty much
But
everyone you
but
know.
not as bad as they didn't go out killing people like my ex-husband did. So I don't know if he was predisposed to it.
Mm,
But see, his father had committed suicide when he was young.
okay.
So I don't know.
Maybe it's a
No,
little bit of
no,
everything, I would say.
he didn't have, I don't think he had any odd behavior, or I never noticed any odd behavior.
Okay, so nothing odd behavior towards the friend. So
No.
I think the story maybe is true. He just wanted to break in, steal something, and it went awry,
Well,
and he took the
typically
worst
if he got
possible.
into trouble, it was for breaking and entering.
Mm.
Basically that was his thing to do, is breaking and entering.
That was his MO. He did it. He's done it
Yeah.
before. Okay.
Yeah, that was what he did. But I wasn't going to live a lifestyle like that.
Just real quick, Mary in the chat. It seems like you've been through quite a bit yourself. Send me an email if you'd ever like to tell your story. We'd love to have you on. So I'm so sorry for what you went through as well, Mary. But let us know if you'd like to do something as well. Vickie Kubi says you're brave to have gotten therapy and even doing this interview. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Kubi is
It's a lifelong therapy. I mean, it's not something that you just go a few times and get over.
I want to say too, I think I said it to you once in the morning show, but thank you for your service. I don't know if I've ever stressed that to you, but I'm someone that always likes to thank a service member when I run into them in person at a gas station or something. We greatly appreciate it. It is highly valued. I just want you to know that, because I know a lot of people, you go through all that and then sometimes people don't even acknowledge it, but you deserve,
Yeah.
to be acknowledged for what you did for the country,
You know,
keeping us safe. And
when we, during Vietnam, I'm so sorry, Dawn. That's the thing about when the missing from Vietnam, I hate to say this, but there was one in particular senator that had been in Vietnam, and he was put on the board to bring home the missing, and and the POWs, and oh, well, there's none there. There's none there. Well, I knew better because he had been a Navy pilot, and the only reason he got where he was is because his daddy was an admiral.
Oh, okay.
And
he had a leg up before he even started.
Yeah. So,
that's an interesting question on screen. Little Pookie asks, "How were you treated by people after your ex-husband committed murder? Did anything change? Since it's kind of a small town, you know."
He had already moved back to Ohio, and I was in Kentucky. So people in Kentucky, I didn't tell people in Kentucky about it. Now my therapist at the VA knew it, but you know, now his family knew it, but I didn't have much to do with them. They didn't have much to do with my son, so you know.
Okay. Annie says, "Isn't it amazing that we all fight our battles alone, but then when we share, we realize we are not alone very often." Very true.
That's exactly right.
And that's one of the reasons for the interview. And Vickie was aware of that, but this is what we talked about, is that, you know, there are going to be a lot of people that think they're alone, and they say, "Oh my God, Vickie's story is just like mine. I can beat this just like she did." So as Annie says, that's what we're doing this for. So it's like relate to, yes, a lot of people talk about abusive relationships, things like that. Send me your stories, guys, if you'd like to be interviewed. It would have to, you know, it's going to get a little tricky here because there might be some stories that I might have to say, I don't know if that one quite fits. So I'm nervous to have to deal with a story like that because I don't want anyone to feel like I'm invalidating their experience or anything like that. But send me your stories, and, you know, if it falls into the true crime category, I definitely would love to help you guys get out there, especially if you think it's going to help you. Don't do it if I talked to Vickie about this in the beginning too. If you think in any way it could be something you come to regret and you regret sharing, make sure that you're not in that camp, because we want this to be something that helps you heal by venting and not something that you regret doing later. But if you would like to come forward, yeah, just let me know. Send me an email. It is in the description below under the video. John Brake says, "Just try to remember it is his cross to bear, not yours. And he doesn't deserve to have the space in your head for your entire life. He's in prison. Everything about him stays there, not in your head." Good point. And it seems like you are dealing with it pretty good, maybe because of the help of the therapy and things along those lines. Plus, you seem like a very strong-minded individual that I think you're strong enough to get over this, Vickie. I really do. Right. And I'm sure the therapy's helped.
I don't think he can ever find me, even if he did get out.
Is that right? Okay, good. Well, is there anything, because we're going to start winding down a little bit, we're at about 45 minutes. Is there anything that that we didn't cover that you want to make sure to, whether it just be a detail about the story or something you want to relate to other people going through it, or anything along those lines? Let's make sure we're thorough and we cover everything you want to.
I just want to ask that, please, if anybody is in a relationship, you know, no, my son was not teased because people at school did not know about his father.
Okay, yeah.
Unless he told somebody at school, and I had always stressed to him not to ever mention about his father. But if anybody is in any type of abusive relationship and you think it could go to the point where you could really get hurt, please get out. Don't take a chance to where it could get to the point where my friend lost her life and that you could possibly lose yours. It's not worth it. And if they tell you that they love you after they beat you or belittle you or whatever that they're doing, don't believe it, because they don't.
Explain that cycle one more time for people who are going through it and think, "Oh, he does love me." Because people think the opposite. He loves me, just has some bad. No, it's the other way around, right? Explain it one more time.
Because after the abuse comes a honeymoon cycle. And then there's the abuse again. And then there's a honeymoon cycle. And then the abuse gets worse. And then there might be another honeymoon cycle, but then there might not. And then the abuse just continues to get worse and worse and worse.
Absolutely. And do you know what I mean? I think people think of it backwards. The truth is they're an awful person that's having
That's right.
some good points to get you back. But I think
Right.
people think it's the other way around. He's a good
No,
guy.
it's not
He just
the other
has
way
a bad day or something.
No, they're a bad person that's trying to convince you that they're a good person.
Absolutely.
They are not a good person. They are a bad, sick person that wants to convince you the opposite.
Dawn asks, well, first Cassandra says they don't love you if they beat you. So true. Sorry for your pain. Thank you for sharing your story. But let's get one more question in. Dawn asks, and Dawn's the one who helped set up this interview, so I want to make sure I get a feeling from her today. Thank you so much too, Dawn. But she says, how was your son's behavior when he found out about his father? Was there a change, and how old was he? So I know a lot of it might have been genetic, but that's a good question she asked. How much of this do you think came from
Well, my son, when he was little, I noticed that there was something different because we raised poodles. My father raised poodles, and he would go down in the basement, and the only time he ever really laughed was when he would beat the poodles, the puppies.
Okay.
That's the only time he really laughed.
That's a clear sign of someone just off.
Right. And I knew then, and I would correct him for doing it. But he would still go back down in the basement and beat the puppies and just laugh. He thought it was so funny because they would yelp. And I knew then that there was something not right. But my stepmother and my father kept saying, "Oh, he's fine. There's nothing wrong with him. There's nothing wrong with him." Well, the older he got, the more problems I kept having. And I didn't want to be, because my mother lied to me about my father. My mother told me that my father was dead.
Oh, wow.
And then I found out at 14 that he wasn't dead.
14.
So, I didn't want to be that type of mother to lie to my son. And of course, I caught all kinds of dickens for it because I didn't lie to him. Well, you don't want to tell him the truth. You don't want to tell him where his father is and all this. Well, it damages a child when you tell them a lie and then they find out the truth. It really does. It messes them up in the head. Right. So don't lie to him. Well, then when I told him the truth, well, what does he want to do? He wants to go see his dad. So of course, I have to take him to go see his dad. Well, that was the worst event of my life. But no, his actions didn't get worse. He was appreciative that I took him to go see his dad. And then I sit and explain to him that was a bad place. And his dad was in that bad place because he made bad decisions.
Yeah, I think it's hard. I think in a lot of ways, kids can gravitate towards the parent that's the same sex as them, the same gender. So like, for example, since he was a boy, he maybe didn't want to accept that he came from a bad guy, so he wanted to keep giving him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe that's why he sided with him over you sometimes. Am I making sense? Like, yeah. No, my dad can't be that bad because it's a scary thing. When you find out things, I can't relate at all to anything that far. But, just sometimes you hear things about your parent that, if you're a man, about your dad, or if you're a female, about your mother. And you're like, oh, like, you don't want that to be true about your parent, So it could have been that where he's thinking, no, my dad can't be that bad. No, that's not true, because you don't want to feel like you come from that. I don't know.
Well, I made the promise that I would take him to see his dad wherever he was until he turned 18 years old. After he turned 18, then I was done taking him to whatever penitentiary his dad was in. Then I was done.
Right.
It was his choice then to go see him on his own. I didn't have to do it anymore. And my son got mad at me because I wouldn't take him anymore.
Right. Oh, I'm getting a lot of feedback. Do you guys hear that feedback now? You won't hear it, Vickie. Okay, it's gone now. Popped in and out a couple times throughout the interview. Just gets really like, it's weird. But sorry about that. So CSI Crowdsource Illuminations puts a 24/7 domestic violence hotline on screen, guys. Please, if you are having any trouble at all, this is advice also from Vickie, is to seek counseling, therapy, things along those lines. So this might be a good place to start. 1-800-799-SAFE, SAFE. It's a 24/7 domestic violence hotline. So maybe call them if you are having any trouble, and follow Vickie's advice and seek therapy and someone to help talk you through it. Maybe if you can't afford it, then at least seek out a friend that you can vent to, and someone maybe that's good at giving advice and listening and helping you through it. But always have someone that you can talk with, Vickie. Is that right? If you couldn't afford therapy, maybe just find a good friend that can.
Exactly. But get away from the abuse. Yes, get away from the abuse.
And just to stress it, remember that the bad side is them, not the good side.
Right. Always remember that.
Vickie, I want to thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to wind down a little because we're getting close to an hour, and I keep them at about an hour. Because you said earlier when I said to make sure that we cover everything, is there anything really important that we didn't get to go over? I just want to make sure I don't rush you to where you miss it.
No, I think that's it. Just if anybody, I don't want anybody to be my friend, that this man killed my friend.
Right. That's Vickie and her son. So just remember, guys, to really look at who you're with. If there are kids involved, and you have to really make a decision. It can be hard. Sometimes people stay together for the child. Make sure you're only doing that if the man or woman is a positive influence in the person's life. If there's someone like this who can maybe lead them down a very dark path, it might be in the best interest to not have them around, such as Vickie did. And it sounds like, even though things ended up not the best way, it sounds like you probably did him a favor by pushing his dad out of his life, because things might have been even much worse than they ended up, right?
Yes. Because I can look in his eyes and see the death and evil in his eyes. Yeah.
And I apologize, guys, for the thumbnail. I misunderstood her explanation of the story. I will fix it. It wasn't 2 police officers, but it was 2 homicides. So it is a double homicide. So, no matter what they did for a job, he still committed 2 homicides. That's the
right.
And Watcher asks, what was the his full name again?
James Dewey Cooper, a senior.
James Dewey Cooper Sr.
Yes.
Kubi says he's a monster, and it does sound that way. So I'm so sorry you went through that. I'm so happy that you are here later on in life, years removed from him, telling your story. And you look comfortable, relaxed, and happy. You got a smile on your face. I mean, as much as you can telling an awful story like this. But I just mean a general smile, as in, I feel like you went on to live a very positive and good life, and you didn't let him destroy you. And I thank you for that.
I wasn't going to allow him to destroy me.
Absolutely. And you realize you're a role model for that, right? Because there are hundreds of people going through this now that need to become like you did.
Right. If I can just help one person, then telling my story is worth it. No matter how painful it is to tell, sometimes it's worth it.
Absolutely. You did an amazing job too. So I'm sure, your son, everyone who is familiar with the story, I'm sure they're very proud of you. I don't know if we've had, a few hundred people come in and out throughout the chat. I think 400 or 500 periodically, because some people stay, 5, 10, 20 minutes. So I don't know if you've had any friends or family that have come in.
Well, my ex-daughter-in-law was supposed to come in and watch.
Oh, cool. I'm sure she's proud of you. You did an amazing job. You really did. You held yourself together very well. You answered every question. And I told you didn't have to answer every question. You still did. So that shows that you're comfortable talking about it. And you're happy with where things ended up.
I
So
don't mind answering the hard questions.
you did a great job doing that. So, all right. And anyone who wants to contact Vickie, whether it's ask her a question because you're going through something similar, ask her for advice, help, whatever, or just tell her, hey, great job, Vickie. Sorry for what you've been through. You're a strong person. I love you. Anything like that. The link's in the description in the video below. So just, you guys know I always put that there. So if you have anything to say to the guest, let her know. And Vickie, you said that you are willing if someone has a question or is struggling to help them out, right?
Right.
All right, guys. So that is how you can contact her, is via Facebook. But other than that, Vickie, I will close out here. Thank you so much. You did an amazing job. And I'm sure I'll see you within a couple days back in the chat. And if anything else happens, if there's anything else you want to come on for or updates, anything along those lines, my line's always open. Just let me know.
Okay.
All right. Vickie Dodd, a.k.a. Navy vet. Amazing job. I will see you soon. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, guys. Great guest. That worked out amazing. I'm very happy that was our first interview in this series. Seems like you guys all really, really enjoyed that. So let her know that too. Shoot her a message. I'm kind of hesitant to say that I want her getting 500 messages saying something. It might be a little much, but if you have something, if you just want to give her some support, let her know that you're there for her, or maybe ask her a question because you're struggling. That's where the link is. One more time, I do want to give the information for the sponsor who helped bring us the show today. It's important. I want to do that at the beginning and end of each video. So tonight's show is brought to you by the Rowdy Crafter Boutique. Amanda Jo of the Rowdy Crafter is a Jane of all trades, crafting the finest original works in arts, crafts, and balloon arrangements, such as crochets, dream catchers, paper flowers, wreaths, and much, much more. To check out the Rowdy Crafter's inventory or order from Amanda Jo's wonderful selection of products, check out their Facebook page at facebook.com/therowdycrafter, all one word. Linked in the video description below. Just hit show more and you will see that. If you would like to sponsor the show, find out information and details of how to do that, go ahead, shoot me an email. My email is also in the description below, jasonhebert100@gmail.com. And real quick, we will just go over some of Amanda's stuff and we will close out there. So the Rowdy Crafter, Amanda, this is her. She is the one bringing us tonight's show. She got some beanies, headbands, boot cuffs, all kinds of cute arts and crafts. Check her out, guys. Facebook.com/therowdycrafter. All right. All different prices, all different sides, all kinds of cute stuff. A lot of it for kids, too. So if you have kids, check it out. Rowdy Crafter Boutique. Thank you so much, Amanda, for supporting tonight's show. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I love you all. And we have a couple more interviews being scheduled right now. We have one next week, and we might have one tomorrow and the next day. I'll let you guys know. I'm not 100% sure. I don't want to announce it until I know for sure. Yep, like CSI put, that's my email there. Make sure you do Hebert, not Herbert. Super common mistake. JasonHebert100@gmail.com. That's so funny, Kubi. When I said Crafter, I thought someone's going to point out my accent. Rowdy Crafter. Go check out the Rowdy Crafter. They're wicked awesome. All right, guys. I love yous. Have a great night from me and the Topster. And to Vickie, you're amazingly strong, much more than I will be. I probably will be on the morning. Kathy, yes. I didn't mean to come on this morning. I've been planning to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then the weekends. So I can't do it every morning. It's a little much for me and for you guys to do those shows every morning. So I have to work out how I'm going to do that. But all right, everyone. We are amazing. Tonight was amazing. Vickie was amazing. We had a great show. Annie says, thank you, Amanda. Yep, thank you so much, Amanda, for sponsoring and bringing us the show. And that's it. Toby says good night. And I'm kind of repeating myself here, so we'll end it there. I love you. Jason Hebert Live. Have a great night. Talk to you soon. Rowdy Crafter, wicked awesome. Check him out. Take care.